Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Allen. I had the pleasure of being the team leader for the Agile product design team this semester. First off, I have to thank a few people. Our inventor, Megan Richter, gave us the initial concept and the need for this product, and without her, this wouldn't have been possible. Additionally, I have to thank our mentors and fellow. Our mentors are Alyssa Boutel and Stephanie Owens, and our fellow is Joe Trunji. Countless times we came across roadblocks, and you all gave me a way through, and I cannot be more thankful for that. When this semester started, I gave us a few unreasonable expectations. I wanted us to create a product which would fit all of our users' needs and would be beautiful by the end of it. I wanted us to create a business model around it which would allow us to not only get our product to the users, but would also allow it to grow in the near future. I wanted my team to grow professionally and personally, and I wanted us to be really, really great at trivia. Unfortunately, we failed in one of these criteria. We're terrible at trivia. We've tried everything. We went to Ocons for trivia night. We played that HQ trivia app that everyone's playing these days. There was even a trivia competition amongst all the interns, and we came in last. That hurt. Despite our failures at trivia, this team has been excellent at product design. Time and time again, this team has impressed me with all their hard work and dedication to this project. I can think of a couple times. For example, one of our interns was stuck on the phone for 3 hours with the representatives at Target just trying to get a reference fee number. She was bouncing around between operator and operator until eventually she was just hung up on. But you know what? She called them back because she wanted that number. On any given game day, they wouldn't be hanging out with their friends. No, they'd be hanging out with me with donuts and prototypes in hand, prowling through the tailgates, trying to get as many insights on their prototypes as possible. My hope is that after this presentation, you all will be as impressed with them as I've been throughout the whole semester. Please join me in welcoming Team BKeeper.
Thank you, Matt. On average, we spend 100 minutes a day driving, and this comes with several risk factors. Probably one of the most common yet unexpected one is skin damage. Megan Richter, our inventor, found out that during one of her visits to the doctor, what she thought was a mole on the left side of her face was actually a benign form of melanoma, which is the most common type of skin cancer. Megan isn't the only one. Every year, 87,000 new cases of melanoma are discovered in the United States. Being an expecting mother at that time, she knew she would have to do everything she could to protect her baby, Bennett. After Bennett was born, she realized that the sun was constantly shining on her child's face, causing discomfort and other problems despite having this sun-blocking device in her car. This creates the need for BKeeper. BKeeper is a product that prevents children from being exposed to sunlight and UV rays in a vehicle. The name BKeeper was inspired by Bennett's nickname, which is bee, and also taking the concept of a beekeeper's veil and tying that into our brand. We have collected a total of 276 responses from our extensive surveys, conducted over 50 interviews, created about 10 different prototypes, and gathered users' feedbacks for BKeeper. We also estimated a potential market value of $92.8 million and created 3 different channels to reach out to our customers. We are extremely excited to share with you all what we have accomplished this semester today. My name is Quinny Liu, and I'm a visual communications senior from Sulphur, Oklahoma.
And my name is Shepard Matsongoni. I'm an industrial and system engineering senior from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe.
My name is Lindsay Cox. I'm a mechanical engineering senior from Allen, Texas.
My name is Grace Lee. I'm a biomedical engineering junior from Stillwater, Oklahoma.
My name is Douglas Yancey. I'm a mechanical engineering senior from Rockwall, Texas.
Together with our mentor, Alyssa Boutel and Stephanie Owens, our team leader, Matt Allen, and our inventor, Megan Richter, we are Team BKeeper. Now, Shepard will talk about the problems with current sunshade devices.
Thank you, Queenie. Using the extensive interview responses and the surveys, we identified a number of problems that parents were facing regarding current sunscreening devices. 3 of these problems stood out. Approximately 44% of the responses indicated that devices that parents have used in the past or are using now have a tendency to fall off when they are driving. This leaves the children exposed to sunshine. The reason why they fall is because they use suction cups as a primary means of attachment. Suction cups are known for failure because they're made of rubber, and the way they attach to the window depends on the temperature. That means when it's either too hot or too cold, they're either too loose or too stiff to stick to the window respectively. Given the vibrations of a vehicle in motion, they eventually fall off. An additional 36% of the responses indicated that current devices do not cover the entire size of a window. They only cover the middle part, leaving the areas around the device exposed to the sun. One parent that we interviewed said, and I quote, "It hardly fits half of my window." As a result, children are often uncomfortable during car rides due to the sun shining in their faces the entire trip. It is painful to see parents having to struggle with issues like this in an attempt to protect their own children. Last but not least, 20% of the responses brought attention to the fact that parents are not able to roll the window up and down when the device is installed, since it's installed directly to the window. Having grasped a decent understanding of the problem, we took it upon ourselves to come up with one possible solution, which is BKeeper. In order to make sure that the device stays in place all the time, we abandoned the old-fashioned suction cups and used buckles instead. The buckles will be installed to the front and back headrest, as well as the hand grab on top of the door. This gives a total of 3 attachment points for optimal support. And also the fact that we have 3 attachment points means that BKeeper will be evenly spread out, therefore giving as much coverage as needed. Last but not least, since BKeeper does not attach directly to the window, parents are now able to roll the window up and down without any difficulties. Now that we understand the problem and the solution as well, I shall hand it over to Lindsay to walk us through the stages we went through prototyping in order to reach our final product, BKeeper.
Thank you, Shepard. The design process that we went through to create our product BKeeper can be broken down into 3 main phases. The first phase involved rapid prototyping of concepts and ideas aimed at solving individual problems that we identified from our survey. This included finding ways to create a reliable attachment and have simple retractability. From these prototypes, we were able to make one key conclusion, and that was to attach our device to the car itself, and more specifically to the headrest, rather than on the window. With this conclusion, we moved into phase 2, where we created 2 fully developed prototypes and concepts. The first involved a 3-point attachment with the use of carabiners to the front seat headrest, the back seat headrest, and the handle above the window. This design had a slit straight down the middle with flaps that could be opened with the use of magnets to allow access to the child. The second design involved a single-point attachment that attached to the back seat headrest, went down the side of the car seat, and fanned open to provide protection for the child. This device also had an extender arm located at the bottom that could move the center point of the shade depending on the size of the vehicle. We took both of these prototypes to users and found that the first design was preferred due to its overall simplicity. Taking that, as well as the other user feedback we received into consideration, we moved into phase 3. In phase 3, we worked to optimize the shape of that first design, as well as improve the ease of use. This included changing out the hooks to be instead simple buckles with adjustable straps, and also moving the location of the slit to instead be across the top rather than down the middle, so that when it's opened, there's a greater amount of space to access the child. So now that you have a better understanding of what our product is and how we came to create it, I'm going to talk about the other products currently on the market. We believe that BKeeper will be competitive based on these metrics that we have identified as the top priorities of our users. There are several different types of products currently on the market, the most common of which is the traditional window shade. This is fixed in size and attaches directly to the window with the use of suction cups. Because the suction cups are temperature dependent, this device tends to pop off unexpectedly. And as you can see very clearly in this picture, it does not block the majority of the sun. The second type of car shade is a window film. Within this category, there are cling shades and there's window tinting. A cling shade is fixed in size and goes directly onto your window in the same way that a screen protector goes onto the front of your phone. This can be difficult to install without creating air bubbles, and if these air bubbles are created, they tend to expand with increasing temperature, and in combination with the vibrations of the car, pop off unexpectedly. For window tinting, what's shown in this picture is a self-installed window tint. This comes in an oversized piece of tint that must be measured and cut to fit your specific window, which can be a very tedious and time-consuming installation process. Alternatively, tinting can be done professionally. However, that can be very expensive, ranging from $200 for a single window up to thousands of dollars for your entire car. Finally, people have reported that they've used homemade devices such as throwing a towel over their window and rolling it up, or rigging up anything they can with materials that were readily available to them. These are obviously not meant to be long-term solutions and do not meet the needs of our users. So now that you can see that there is a spot for our product in this market, Grace is going to talk to you about how big we believe this market actually is.
Thank you, Lindsay. Not only will BKeeper develop a product to keep children safe from the sun, we're also driving a market of $92.8 million. Now, the total value of the entire baby safety product industry is a striking $580 million. Of this market, $92.8 million will come from car shade sales. That's nearly 16% of the entire market. Of the car shade sales, $60 million will come from e-commerce sales, such as Amazon and companies' websites. And $77 million will come from in-store sales, such as Target and Babies R Us. Moreover, from over 350 interviews and surveys, we found that 24% of users drive children during the day. Of that 24%, 46% responded that they have purchased a sunscreen device at least once during the past year. More specifically, from our interviews, we found that potential customers are willing to spend around $19.99 on our current design. Knowing that we'll be entering a viable market, I will now talk about how we can access that market. BKeeper will be reached through 3 different channels: through the website, through the online retailers such as Amazon, and through an in-store retailers such as Target and Babies R Us. Now, we know that when dealing with third-party retailers, there's usually a referral fee. When accounting for that referral fee and our manufacturing costs, we have estimated the gross margin of each distribution channel. As you can see, although we make the least amount of money selling through in-store, this is an important channel to enter because 83% of car shades are sold off the shelf. Our business model was further proving successful by other companies. So now that we know how to access this market, I will hand it off to Doug, who will talk about how BKeeper will grow over the next few years after manufacturing begins.
Thank you, Grace. Financially, BKeeper will profit $951,000 over 4 years as our product reaches retailers. Our financial model is split up into 2 primary phases. The first phase will be primarily online. During year 1 of our first phase, we will exclusively sell BKeeper through our online website, personally for BKeeper. Transitioning to year 2, in addition to our own company website, we will add online marketplaces such as Amazon and Walmart Marketplace. This will conclude phase 1, and we estimate approximately 9,500 units to be sold throughout these 2 years. Transitioning to phase 2, we will add a third retail channel, which will include in-store retailers such as Babies R Us and Target. The total number of units to be sold during this phase will be approximately 188,000 units, a tremendous increase. And this is backed up by several assumptions. First off, at the end of year 3, we anticipate a 1% market capture of the total sunscreening device market, which is similar to our competitor Munchkin, which within their first few years of starting up, were able to capture a similar percentage of the total baby safety product market. Another assumption we're assuming is a 20% yearly growth rate from year to year throughout these 4 years. And finally, the last assumption that we're making is a 17% online sales rate of sunscreening devices versus an 83% for in-store. This explains this tremendous growth. So now that I've talked about some of the ways our product will reach retailers, I'll now talk about the steps from now until product production. So we recommend that our inventor, Megan, first looks into product development from now until the product is actually developed. This will begin with manufacturer identification, which will involve both packaging and aesthetics information, specifically making sure everything's ready for product launch. In addition, we also recommend within the first year looking specifically into the product testing phase, specifically testing the UV blocking capabilities of our material, as well as testing the mechanisms and stress testing in the unlikely event of a car accident. Additionally, we recommend testing the material itself and ensuring nothing is toxic or harmful to the child or user. Finally, for product development, we recommend starting product production at some point within the second year. On the business side of things, we recommend first optimizing and polishing the overall final design of BKeeper so that both the attachment points and the overall shape can be best suited to match any car. Once this has been achieved, then we recommend looking into a potential design patent in order to protect the intellectual property of the BKeeper device itself. Additionally, we recommend as soon as possible looking into trademarking options for both the brand and logo BKeeper. Finally, we also are recommending secondary funding options such as crowdsourcing platforms such as setting up a Kickstarter page for BKeeper in order to provide initial funding for both product inventory as well as manufacturing fees and website fees. Next, we also recommend looking into marketing options specifically through social media networks in order to spread the name of BKeeper to both parents, grandparents, and other users. So in summary, we have identified the problem of UV exposure in the back of vehicles for children 0 to 5. We have also identified the problem of many other competitor devices out there that is divided into 3 major metrics: improper coverage of the user, unreliable and undurable attachments, and the inability to use all of the car's features, such as rolling down the window. After prototyping over 10 different iterations, we were able to come up with a final design that meets all 3 of these criteria, as well as being sleek and simple. We are also able to break down a $580 million baby safety product market into a $92.8 million sunscreen device market, in which we were able to then create a financial plan for the future based on these numbers, using 3 different retail outlets of both online and in store. Finally, we were able to recommend steps for the future for our inventor to take in order to take our work from now and get it to product production. So this concludes our presentation, and at this time I'd like to open the floor up to any questions that you may have. So the question is regarding the window film and tinting itself, and what's stopping cars that aren't tinted from. Can you repeat the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
So the price information, and because the only thing from the council of people running the tinted provide some shade of the price. But if the price is $50 or $100, and you can't pay why people do that for attaching essentially.
Okay, so to answer the first part of the question of why the price point of the window tint itself, we found this information from various sources. It specifically said it depended on the car itself, also how expensive the window tint is, since there seem to be several different types. So that's where we got our information for that. And in addition to both the peeling problem with the window tint, we felt that our product is different in that it also provides additional features such as being able to reflect light, keeping the sun virtually out of their eyes. And we found that after interviewing users that some of the tint out there still allows enough light to cause discomfort in children.
And also to add on to that, so our device, not only is it cheaper than window tinting, through service we found out that people are willing to pay a price of $19.99 as opposed to maybe $50, which comes from window tinting, and also an upwards of $200, which we found from consulting with local window tinting companies. Our device is also durable. With tinting, you would have to keep on. I mean, it peels off eventually, which is not durable. So that's one more advantage that our device has with regards to durability.
Yes?
In your projections, taking into consideration that a lot of new cars today have integrated shields that don't line the section that we cover the entirety of the window?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, in the projections of how many cells you got you weren't going to be able to penetrate, did it take into consideration that a lot of new cars today have the integrated shields in the cars that don't align the sections that attach to allow you to put your window up and down, cover the entirety of the back window?
So to answer that question, we did take that into consideration. We talked to a number of parents that say their cars came with already installed devices, and so the one you're talking about in specific, so it's spring loaded, and the spring tends to break eventually. So and it doesn't. From then onwards, it doesn't work anymore. So, but with ours, you only have to install it once and remove it whenever you need to, without it breaking off.
Yes. Yes.
So that's where I'm for time. It looks like it's see-through, but like from a driver perspective, you actually see through it.
Yes, the question is whether we considered if this material is going to block the blind spot of the driver. And since it's actually attached to the headrest, it's off of the window by a significant enough gap so that when you do turn to check your blind spot, you are still able to see out your window.
Yes?
So for phase 2, it has significant amounts of profit. So why do we start by adding retail instead of something online?
Could you repeat the question just one more time?
Sure. So for the phase 2, so by adding retail sellers and have significant amounts of profit generated, and in phase 1, you just say selling them online. So why don't you just start selling them on the retail store instead of selling them online?
Okay. So the question was, why didn't we start selling in-store retail first, and why start online since there's obviously tremendous growth? And there's two answers for that. First, our inventor personally would like to start having complete control over the company. So selling directly online allows that. It also allows a higher profit margin per unit. Additionally, for selling in-store retailers, there's a certain number of benchmark units that needs to be hit. So in order to gain traction and enough sales, we decided this is probably the best method of a slow increase in sales, and then hitting those benchmark numbers through online platforms would get us to be able to get on shelves in Target and Babels R Us. We have time for one more question. Yes?
The question is whether you will be able to see the child through the netting as the driver. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes. So this device will be on the outside windows. So looking back towards, if you're looking back towards the middle of the car, that won't be an issue. But it is a see-through device, or material, so the baby is also able to see out the window. So it is see-through.
So we will have a booth set up in the lobby with our prototype if you'd like to see it in person, and we'd be happy to answer any more questions out there as well. Thank you.